Okay, everybody, we're going to start lying on our backs in Shavasana. So take a moment to settle into the ground and then just let go entirely. Let your bones drop. Imagine your skin on the back body could spread a little bit along the floor. Muscles relaxing, connective tissues releasing, internal organs dropping. Breath flowing freely. Acknowledge with kind attention anything that's bubbling up to the surface of awareness, but without getting carried away by it. So you can just note thinking or noting any emotions, any kind of deeper feelings, emotional undercurrent, and drop the stories. Stay with the sensation, whether that's density or space or tingling, heaviness, fatigue, bubbling of joy, whatever is present. Even dropping any labels, dropping labels, dropping judgments if they start to arise. So we're just really here for the bare bones experience. Now starting to really ground your mind, ground your awareness in the present moment by anchoring to your breath. Still just letting your breath breathe you, but now following the river of breath all the way in and all the way out, and being with the spaces in between. And noticing any sensations that are accompanying the breath, the temperature of the breath, touch of breath, location of breath, length of breath. And now bringing a quality of intention, a little bit more of a guided breath here, inviting your breath to be more three-dimensional, front, sides, and back of the body, front, sides, back of the rib basket. You might notice where the breath is a little less likely to go and encourage it there. So it's more even, more balanced throughout your body. You might also notice if the inhale is longer than the exhale, to make the exhale a little bit longer. I really don't want the inhale to be longer than the exhale. They can be even or longer exhalation. Honoring still this organic, natural quality of your breath. So there might be this natural pause between breaths, or breath might just kind of be asking to be a little shorter, a little shallower at some point. And conversely, it could be a lot deeper, like a big sigh. And so we want to honor that. And let's keep the breath in the foreground of awareness and continue to work to create a balanced and whole body breath, or three-dimensional breath, as we start into our movement inquiries. We'll begin by simply bringing the knees in toward the chest. You can use your hands if you want to hug in a little bit more. Hands or arms. You could find a little movement here, a little circle, a little sway, or a little stillness. If you're going in a circle, if you're going in one direction, go in the other direction. And then wherever you are, let's come back to center. So the knees are in toward the chest. And then we'll open the knees out wide toward the armpits. So it's almost like a child's pose on the ceiling. We're going to come back to this shape. But for now, keep the knees toward the armpits and bring the feet up. So shins are vertical for Ananda Balasana, happy baby. Do the best you can. They might not be vertical. You can reach for your feet. I personally like holding outer edges of the feet. I feel like that gives my chest a little more space, and externally rotates the shoulders. So you could just see the contrast if your hands are inner feet. There's a little bit more of this kind of tendency for the shoulders to roll in. Not bad, just different. As you draw the knees down toward the armpits, apply a little resistance by pushing the feet up into the hands, or maybe you have the thighs instead. The feet are too far away. Same idea here. So it's not just all kind of collapsing and pulling, there's some opposition. And you could be moving here as well, shifting, swaying, or enjoying stillness. A few more breaths here. Great, let's keep the knees relatively wide here and come back to this kind of supine child's pose. You can keep your arms where they are. So if you were holding your feet, your arms are to the inside, hopefully, of the legs. It's a little awkward to be on the outside. So keep the arms where they are and just let your feet drop down toward your sitting bones and the big toes to touch. So now we're headed for a Bakasana, or crow pose on the ceiling. So from here, you can just straighten your arms and flex your wrists like your hands are on the ceiling. Really spread through the fingers. So being intentional with the hands, like they were on something, they were providing support, spreading through the fingers, looking at your hands to make sure that they're flat and not cockeyed one way or the other. And then start pressing your legs into your arms a little bit. And again, working with opposition, press your arms into your legs. So arms are on the inner knees or inner legs somewhere if possible. And then from here, let's add a lift of the head and even of the upper back. So you can peel your shoulder blades up off of the ceiling. So the back is rounding. We're stretching through the arms. Imagine you could bring, like, try to reach your hands all the way up toward the ceiling. Breathing here. Might be smaller sips of air into the back. And then from here, release. Let's bring the feet to the ground. Let's bring the arms down. And just a little easy windshield wiper side to side. Come back to center. Root through the lower spine and bring the legs up to vertical. Energy through the legs. No space between lower spine and floor. So really activating through your abdominal wall, below the navel, along the line of the navel, and just below the rib cage above the navel. So we're kind of like really rooting through those, we could say 3 rows. And then also a little bit more either side of the navel and the navel. From here, interlace your hands underneath your head and lift your head. Again, we're going to try to peel the shoulder blades up off of the ground. You could stay right here, or maintaining this lower back connection to the floor, start to lower the legs and then keep them wherever you get before the lower back leaves the ground. So as low as you can get without losing that connection. Holding here. And then release the feet to the ground. You can release the head to the ground. Let's keep the hands interlaced, but stretch the arms overhead. And then actually straighten the legs, sorry. I'm going to push through the heels, stretch through the spine, the sides of the torso, the arms, and the belly. And then let it all go, returning to touch Shavasana. Feel your breath. Okay, from here you can bend your knees, roll to your side, and rise up to sit with your feet planted out in front of you. Like so. We're setting up for Navasana, or boat pose. The previous shape was kind of like a low boat. This is the other boat. So we'll have the hands behind the thighs, tip back to hover the feet, and then hover the legs and maybe stretch forward through the arms. Let's lower down and grab your block. I'm trying to corral this hair. Grab your block. We're going to take the block between the knees. I'd probably go narrow setting. Okay, squeeze the block, tip back, hover the legs, shins about parallel to the floor. You can stretch the arms forward again. Try drawing up on the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, the root seal. And engaging that whole abdominal wall. So drawing it back toward the back of the spine. From here, release. You can set your block aside. And we'll come to all fours. Spread the fingers, root through each knuckle, root through each finger, and then have this idea or sensation or thought, image, any of the above, that you're kind of drawing up out of the arm rather than kind of sinking into the shoulders or the wrists. So you can push the floor away and then get this little bit of external rotation. So the hand's not actually moving. I mean, it is a tiny bit. And we're dialing, this isometric dialing of the hands outward. Create a little bit of external rotation. And then let's isolate shoulder blades here. So pelvis isn't moving, head's just going along for the ride. Retract, shoulder blades move toward the spine. And then protract, lifting up through the mid-back, shoulder blades move away from the spine. Try that a couple more times. Arms are staying straight, so elbows aren't bending to make this happen. One more time. And then from here, we'll flip the hands so the palms are up, the fingertips point forward. You can do both at once. And then just a little bit of downward pressure, backs of the hands into the floor, and maybe a little like an isometric back action. So as if you could pull your hands back toward you, but you're not. I like to add this kind of, so I'm rooting through the backs of my hands, but I'm also kind of drawing up out of the wrists through the arms. Flipping the hands back so palms are down. Really spread through the fingers. Find that kind of dialing outward action. Notice how that kind of turns some things on. And then we'll move through cat-cow. So arching to your back bend on an inhale. And exhale, rounding the spine up toward the ceiling. We're still protracting and retracting, but now the whole spine is involved. You can make it more like a wave if you want to initiate from the pelvis up through the spine. From the pelvis up through the spine. So in this case, head would move last. About one more time, keep that outward dialing action of the hands. And then when you come into cat again, so that's the spine rounding up toward the ceiling, the Halloween cat, stay here, keep breathing, really push the floor away. See how much you can spread your shoulder blades, head can just hang here. We still have that dialing outward action of the hands and equal rooting through each finger. See if you can kind of hollow your belly toward the back. Gonna again imagine or work the abdominals a little bit below the navel, in line with the navel, right above the navel, below the rib cage, and then to the right of the navel, through the navel, and left side of the navel. And let's hold for a couple more breaths here, so you can draw up on the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. Come back to neutral spine. Flip the hands, palms down, fingers point towards you. Hands shoulder width apart, still spreading through the fingers. And then a little shift back of the hips. So here too, I like to kind of press the hands down, but have this drawing upward through the arm energy. Coming back to ground the hands, move the fingers forward. Spread the fingers, root evenly, dial the hands outward, push the floor away, protraction, and then tuck toes under, and from the lower belly, lift up to downward facing dog. Think up as much as back, or maybe even up more than back. Knees can be bent here. Head heavy. Still working that outward rotating action from the hands. Still strongly pushing the floor away. From here, let's take little steps forward until we're in standing forward bend. You could bend your knees here if you like. Let's separate the feet hip width apart. And Padahastasana, so hands under feet. We're stretching the wrists a lot here. Preparing for weight bearing. Heavy head. Pressing the feet down. You could pull the hands up in opposition or also push the hands down. Remove your hands out from underneath your feet. Spread evenly through the toes, rooting through the four corners of your feet. Let's just come up onto tippy fingers here. Bend the knees a lot. And then lift the belly and the thighs up, reaching the arms forward. And then maybe arms up alongside the ears. Utkatasana. So the back of the head and the shoulder blade area and the sacrum are all in one line of energy. Really reach through the arms. Slowly rise up. Let's bring hands down to heart center. Slow, steady breath. Reach the arms up, or they could just go straight forward. Really reach. And then bend your knees, coming back into Utkatasana. Let's take an inhale here. Plant your hands, walk it back to plank pose. Okay, line of energy from crown of the head back to the heels. Push the floor away. Dial the hands outward. And then slowly lower all the way down onto your belly. Let's bring the forehead down to the ground. Arms alongside the body. I like palms down personally. Tuck your toes under. Drive through your heels so the legs are active. Root down through the front of the pelvis and lift your chest. Head is in line in locust. You could also lift the arms. I like to dial externally, so thumbs up, palms out. That lifts the front of the shoulder away from the floor. It seems inevitably people go this way. You can feel the shoulder drop, go the other way. Plant your hands beneath your shoulders. From here, see if you can engage the abdominal wall, below the navel, in line with the navel, above the navel, to the left side of the navel, to the right side of the navel, in line with the navel. Drop on the pelvic floor, engage your glutes, push the floor away. So push up, and then lift back to downward facing dog. Keep your hips level as you stretch your right leg up and back into three-legged dog. And then let's try not to swing the leg forward. Let's try to move with control. So as you shift forward to plank, you can hug your thigh to your trunk, really lift up through the hips. And then place the foot between the hands. Let's keep the back knee lifted and the hips level. So that might mean staying on the fingertips. Let's walk the right foot to the outside of the right hand. So we're in this lizard lunge shape. And then try to keep the hips level even if you come down lower. So sometimes we come down lower and then we're kind of collapsing the left side of the pelvis. Then maybe don't go so low here. So you can keep the hips more level. So you can use blocks to find the middle path or stay up on the hands. Turn your left buttock muscles on, squeeze. Really actively drive through the back heel. Isometrically drag your front foot back and extend your chest forward. If hands are on the ground, they're rooting evenly, each finger, and we can get that dialing out action here too. Press through the hands to step back to plank pose. Lower slowly all the way down to the ground. Forehead down. Let's keep the toes tucked under. Arms alongside the body. Lifting up to locust. Rolling the fronts of the shoulders away from the floor. Really press the pubic bone down. The head and chest are up. If you want, you can free the feet from the ground and reach actively back through the legs. Toes tuck as they come back to the ground. Hands alongside the shoulders. Want to avoid the elbows splaying out to the sides. They're tucked in near the body. Engaging below the navel, at the navel, above the navel, to the right of the navel, to the left of the navel. Draw up on the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. Push the floor away. Through plank to downward facing dog. Keep your hips level, stretching left leg up and back to three-legged dog. Less about height here than level pelvis. And then shifting forward, squeezing the leg in toward the trunk. You can really lift the hips to give yourself more clearance to place the foot between the hands. We'll bring the hands to the inside of the front foot. You can walk the left foot out to the left a bit more so there's room for your torso. Starting on the hands here. Rooting, dialing outward. Energy through the back leg. Hips level. Hopefully. Engage your back glute, your right glute. Isometrically pull your left foot back. Maybe come down lower. Definitely extend the chest forward. So I don't want to look way forward and kink the back of my neck, but I also don't want to drop the head. So back of the head in line with the sacrum, which usually means the gaze is somewhere down on the floor. Make it more about your breath now, maintaining all your alignment. Push the floor away and bring the left leg back to plank. Lower all the way down onto your belly. This time we'll keep the hands on the ground. They're under the shoulders or back a little bit more alongside the upper ribs. Here too, we root evenly through the hands, even though they're not bearing weight. Root through the bases of your index fingers. You get a little dialing outward action of the hands. Notice how I bring the elbows in. Lifting head, lifting chest. We're in a low cobra here. Drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. Root the front of the pelvis. And lower down a little bit through the upper body. Engaging the abdominals. Drawing up on Mula Bandha. Root lock. Root seal. Push the floor away. Downward facing dog. Take little steps, walking the feet forward. Separate your feet hip width apart. Hands, palms down, thumbs out underneath your feet. Kind of draw up from the arms to cultivate the stretch. Head heavy. Knees can be bent. Remove your hands out from underneath your feet. Rooting through 4 corners of your feet. Toes are spread. Lower your hips to bend your knees. Reach the arms forward, belly and chest coming up off of the thighs. And then maybe arms reach up alongside the ears. Really reach through the arms. Push the floor away to rise up. Bringing hands together at heart center. Slow, steady breath. We'll keep kind of like the bases of the hands or the bases of the wrists connected. There's the back of the front of the wrist as we kind of roll around the hands. That's it. Go in the other direction. Next time hands are together in prayer, pause. Inhale, Utkatasana, like sitting in a chair. Exhale, Uttanasana, folding forward. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back to plank pose. And without adjusting your feet, lower your knees down to the ground. Draw up on the pelvic floor. And engage your whole abdominal wall just below the ribs, just above your hip points, the sides of the navel. Dial the hands outward, breathing evenly through the fingers, and then kind of sending your chest forward as you lower about halfway. Try not to drop, right? So the abdominals are engaged. We're pausing here in chaturanga, lower chaturanga, meaning knees are down. And then push the floor away and let your hips shift back to your heels into child's pose. Head heavy. And circle out the wrists if they're feeling it. Rising back up to all fours. Extend your legs back with toes tucked under so you're in plank. You can lower the knees down again. If that was a big challenge for you, I'd recommend repeating that. so we can maintain alignment. More important, we're dialing the hands out. We're rooting evenly through each finger. The whole abdominal wall is pulling back toward the spine. We're drawing up on the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. There's a forward energy, so if you're not on your knees, it's still with the chest, but now also kind of rocking forward to tiptoes. We lower about halfway, no more than halfway, and see if you can hold for a moment. And then you can just lower your knees and let your hips shift back to your heels, again into child's pose. This time, let's bring arms alongside the body and circle out the wrists. Switch directions. And then stretch your arms forward. Maybe even lift the palms and the bases of the wrists away from the floor. So fingers and knuckles and thumbs, thumb pads are on the ground. Pressing back, downward facing dog. Push the floor away. Walk your feet up toward your hands. Bend your knees, Bakasana. Rising to stand. This time, let's release arms down through this ocean of energy. Pausing here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Slow, steady breath. Hey, Garudasana, eagle pose, people call it. We'll start by connecting to the earth. I like to bring hands to hips here. Direct your awareness and maybe even just take a peek down at your right foot. Lift and spread the toes, root them back down, rooting through the four corners of the feet or the foot. Okay, softening the knees, bending into the knees, and then weight shifting over to the right leg, left leg coming on top. Wrapping around as much as you can. Some of you can hook. Some of you want to keep the toes on the ground. Squeeze the legs together. So really active through the legs here. Sometimes I find people having like a hard time wrapping, but their standing leg is straight. So the bend of the leg is what helps to find the hook. Okay, hips are going back as they go down. So I don't like to practice it trying to stay upright. I feel like it's just not great feeling in the back. So as my hips go back and down, the torso comes forward, like chair or thunderbolt style. And then shift a little bit more into your heel and see if that makes it feel more solid for you. Adding the arms. You can extend your arms like spreading big bird wings. Okay, and then if right foot is on the ground, it'll be left arm coming on top. We cross the arms as high as we can and wrap them around each other. If that's just pretzel-y and ridiculous for you, you can join the elbows. Join the elbows and the forearms, because the action is the same here. So the arms are pressing into each other. If the arms are wrapped around each other, it feels more like they're pulling away from each other. And now let's try to add this reach of the elbows forward so we can really flood the upper back with breath. So letting the upper back, it's a rounding kind of, it's a protraction. Calmly rising up, coming back to Tadasana. Just take a moment here to notice what's present for you. And to slow and steady the breath. Okay, second side for eagle. You can take a peek down at your left foot. Lift the toes, spread the toes. Try to create space between each toe as the toes come back down. Four corners of the foot. Bending the knees, letting the hips go back and the torso come forward. Then we transfer the weight to the left leg. Right leg comes up. Maybe the toes touch down. Maybe you wrap, maybe you hook. Weight more into the heel for a little bit more stability. We're not lifting up the toes though. Squeeze the legs together. When you're ready, you can add your arms. If you're on your left foot, right arm is on top. Can repeat, elbows together, elbows pressing together. If the arm wrap just isn't working for you. Press the arms into each other and then really reach the elbows forward. Make sure you're breathing, breathe into the back. And calmly rising back up to Tadasana, mountain pose. Utkatasana. Bend the knees, let the hips go back and the torso come forward. Uttanasana, fold forward. Inhale, extend your chest forward. Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands, step back to plank. Just take a moment to secure your hands, to dial them outward, to engage Mula Bandha, the entire abdominal wall. Maybe knees come down. If they don't, shift forward to tiptoes. Shift the chest forward, lower about halfway down. And then you can untuck the toes and rise up to cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Hips stay level, right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Shift forward, try to hug in and really control the planting of the foot between the hands. Pyramid or Parshavottanasana, to set the back foot in to ground the heel and rise up. We want to make sure both hips are forward. So there's this scissoring action. You can isometrically pull the right foot back and squeeze, engage your left glute. Okay, if it works to come into a reverse prayer, go for that. That'll be great for the wrists. If that doesn't work, but you're close, you can join the fists. If that's not working, hands can be on hips, and we're hugging the elbows back. Folding forward. Release your hands to the earth. Step back to plank pose. Dial the hands outward, even rooting through each finger, each knuckle. Mula Bandha, abdominals, shifting forward, maybe knees are down, lower halfway. See if you can pause. And then flip the feet for up dog or cobra. And exhale, lifting into downward facing dog. Hips stay level, left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Hugging the leg in, really lifting through the hips to control the left foot, coming between the hands. Smallish step forward, however big it needs to be in order to get your right heel down, rising up. Hips are square. So you can draw the left hip back and right hip forward and engage right glute. Finding the arm position you found on the first side. Drawing the elbows back and folding forward. Long, slow breaths. Release your hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Dialing the hands outward, even rooting through the feet. Mula Bandha. Drawing the abdominals back toward the spine. Lowering halfway-ish. See if you can pause. Opening up to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. From here, let's lower the knees to the ground. We're coming toward Bakasana. So we'll slide the right knee forward between the hands and then swing the right foot over to the left. It almost looks like we're headed for pigeon, yeah? And then we slide the left leg behind the right and swing the left foot out to the right. Just a different entry here than from a seat. And then shifting back onto your sitting bones. Don't plop like I did, do it with control. Okay? So right leg is on top. If you're like, not working, elevate, sit up on a block to make it more approachable. And or straighten your bottom leg. Okay, so if right leg is on top, I'm mirroring. We stretch left arm up, really reach here, up, 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 and then bend the elbow. Use the right hand to guide the elbow a little bit in, a little bit down. I didn't suggest a belt, but you might use it if you're trying for the bind. The right arm comes down, thumb down, palm back. We work the hands toward each other. You can grab your shirt if you don't have a belt or t-shirt, even a sock handy could work in a pinch. If you want to work the bottom arm a little bit more, tug up a little bit more, and vice versa. Long, slow breaths. Gently release your arms. Shift forward onto your hands. And then you can just switch the cross of your legs, so bringing the left leg in front. Separating the feet so there's room for you to carefully lower onto your sitting bones. Sit up onto something, pillow on the couch would work if you're feeling like you can't be upright, and or straighten the bottom leg. Sweeping right arm up, 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 up. Bend the elbow. Use the left hand to help the elbow down and a little bit in. And then maybe the left arm, palm back, thumb down, coming around. Maybe the hands connect. Breathe into the back. I feel like we missed that. Maybe it's the side body, but we're really front body oriented, obviously, because our eyes are out in front of us. So work to bring the breath more into the sides of the rib basket. And for today's focus, more into the back. The breath might be in the back, kind of pressing into the arm. Gently release your arms and stretch your legs out in front. If you feel like you're kind of tipped back or having a hard time sitting up, you can sit on a block or a cushion or a blanket. I didn't suggest that, but might be handy here for Marichasana. So we're not going to do the bind version. I'm going to keep it simple. Maybe we'll build up to that in the next couple of weeks. So let's begin by planting the right foot. And we really want to draw the right heel in as close as is comfortable to the right sitting bone. So if you're sitting on something, it might run right into that. Okay, and then let's offset the left leg a little bit, not crazy out to the side, just a little bit out to the side so there's this space between the legs. Start rooting down through your right foot and stretch the right arm up toward the ceiling. Make sure left leg is active, it's not like uninvolved. Yeah, the toes point up, the leg roots down. Knee could be bent. Okay, and then we're stretching forward to the inside of the leg. And you can just bring the hand down wherever it gets. Okay, so hands could be framing the foot, maybe they didn't make it that far. Keep extending your chest forward rather than dropping your head down. If it works for you, you might grab your foot. Not critical at all. Keep rooting down through the right foot. Breathing into the back. Couple more breaths here. Let's add some pressure of this right leg into the right. It could be the arm if you're more upright. It could be the shoulder if you're more folded forward. So press the leg in and press the arm out, arm of the shoulder out. Neither is winning. They're meeting each other with opposite and equal energy. Let's incorporate Mula Bandha. So we'll take a couple extra breaths here. You could imagine you've got elevator doors either side of or connecting your sitting bones in the middle. And then another set of elevator doors connecting pubic bone and tailbone. So we want to close the doors between the sitting bones. We want to close the doors between the pubic bone and the tailbone. And then we want to bring the elevator up. One way to think about it. Let's see if we can hold that, and if it changes anything. And rising and releasing. Stretch the right leg out in front. Draw the left heel in, close to the left sitting bone. I'm not trying to connect the legs, so the foot's in line with the sitting bone, and then I'm actually gonna offset the right leg a few inches out to the right, so I have space. Rooting down through left foot, like you could stand up on it, but don't. And active and rooting through left leg, right leg, toes pointing up. Okay, we're stretching up, up, up through left arm. And then folding forward. Keep reaching the chest forward. When you hit your comfortable end zone, you can just bring the hand down. Hands can be either side of the leg. Could hold your foot. Pressing the arm and leg into each other, or arm and shoulder, depends where you are. If you can get this sense of connection between the two sitting bones, narrowing that gap. Connection between the pubic bone and the tailbone, narrowing that gap. And then drawing upward. So elevator doors closing vertically and horizontally, and then elevator going up to the top floor. If this is unfamiliar, it's just new and something to explore without any judgment. Just with curiosity and kindness, patience. Okay, and then rising up. Great, we're gonna stretch the left leg out in front. Just pause here with legs straight. You can bring your fingertips back behind you, or if you had a block handy, you could bring your fingers to wrap around the back of the block, or fingertips here. We're not leaning back, we're lifting up, spreading the top chest. Head in line with the rest of the spine, or you can bring your little Jalandhara Bandha, chin down, chin in, but the chest is really lifting and spreading. Okay, let's let this go. We're gonna plant the right foot again, everybody, just like you did for Marichasana A. And then you can do a couple different things. So option one is to basically be in like Baddha Konasana with left leg. Or if you think that Lotus Padmasana is something reasonable for you to do, then you would straighten your right leg, bring your left leg into Padmasana. This should not be felt in the knee. If you're cranking to get the leg there, then don't do it. It's not worth it. Okay, but if Padmasana is in your practice, left leg Padmasana, and then we plant the right foot. Okay, and that left knee comes down or is supported if it isn't quite down. So we're here or we're here. And we're reaching up, up, up through right arm, right side, and lengthening forward again. Both arms can be forward. I kind of like my left hand more back alongside my hip, and I'm going to push the floor away there to help lengthen forward. My right sitting bone is not on the ground. Yours might be, it might not be. Let's try engaging Mula Bandha, the root seal, and maybe also try this abdominal engagement here. Yeah, so similar to Uddiyana Bandha, is drawing the abdominal wall back, below the navel, at the level of the navel, above the navel, to the right of the navel, to the left of the navel. So not just one point, but all of it. See if that changes your experience of the forward fold. Or maybe you engage it for a second and then you lose it. That's okay too. Last couple of breaths. Chest is reaching forward. Right foot is rooting down. Okay, and then carefully rising up. Stretch the legs out in front. Okay, if you think you'd like to do Padmasana, bring the right leg into Padmasana first, outer edge of the foot, all the way up to the hip crease. It's for the hip, not the knee. You shouldn't really be feeling anything in your knee, okay? Or we're having the left foot planted close to the sitting bone, and the right foot, like right next to the left foot, in Baddha Konasana, in this butterfly shape. Let's reach up, up, up through left arm. As you do, push left foot into the ground. Really lift up through the side and then take all that length forward. I'm not a huge fan of like continuing to reach. You could reach with the arm in space. That might be interesting and helpful. Or the hand coming down. Might use your right hand to help ground you and send your chest forward. And then see if you can engage Mula Bandha. Draw the abdominals, draw the belly back toward the spine. Breathe into the back. Breathe into the sides, breathe more into the back. And then rising up. Stretch the legs out in front. Just give them a little shake. Okay, and then from here, making your way back to downward facing dog. Spread the shoulder blades away from each other. Breathe between the shoulder blades. Maybe bring feet together, or I like big toes together, but heels a little apart, personally. See what works for you. Okay, we're coming toward Malasana. So you can bend your knees as you walk your hands back, and then come all the way down to a squat. Okay, so if your heels will come down, cool. If they won't, you might fold up the back of your mat. You might need to step forward and fold up more of your mat to ground the heels. We don't do this necessarily just for grounding. We do this because then it'll give us more availability to actually squat. Okay? So feet can be close together, close together. So we're not really going for this kind of squat today. Just because of the path we're taking to Bakasana. Okay? If you need to be higher up, if your knees are not liking this, then certainly you can be higher up. And you can use blocks so that the knees don't have to take as much. Okay, so here we are in our Malasana squat. We're gonna let the knees come apart, just enough for the torso to come forward and through. And then I'm not rocking to the outer edges of the feet and just letting the knees splay out to the sides. So remember that action we had in Lizard, I think, yeah, where we were pressing the arms and legs into each other. We even did this on our backs a long time ago. Okay, so arms are just kind of resisting outward as the legs are pressing inward. It's already a lot of work, yeah? You can engage Mula Bandha. You can keep your arms stretching forward. Some of you can bring your arms out to the side. The thumbs go down, palms face out, just like that bottom arm in Bakasana, and we can reach back, perhaps, to hold the heels. And then we can round even more. So let your head go, puff up through your back. Try drawing up on the pelvic floor and drawing your abdominal wall toward the back of the spine, or toward the back. Press the inner edges of your feet together. Rising up a bit, bring your hands in front of you and bring your knees down to the ground. Let's tuck toes under. If you need to be more forward here, that's cool. If you can sit all the way back onto your heels, that's cool. Just be here for a moment. We're trying to open up plantar fascia a little bit. If you can, if you've got arms free, you can interlace fingers, palms forward, and then up. Breathe into the back, upper back, middle back. Breathe into the bottoms of your feet. Okay, we'll let the arms float down through this ocean of energy. If they were up, grab your blocks, place the blocks. You can untuck your toes and sit onto your heels for a moment. And blocks are alongside, not as much, it's going to depend on your proportions, but I find if they're back towards the hips too much, they're not helpful. So I have them a little bit forward. I have long arms, so it might be different for you. Okay, so I like the blocks on the low setting, so the majority of my hand can connect. For some of you, if your wrists are like, this sucks, this whole class, you can grip and it might feel a little bit better, in which case I'm on the mid setting. Okay, and then shift forward so you can cross one ankle on top of the other ankle. This is Lolasana or pendant pose. Okay, and then just be aware, start to connect in, hands to the blocks. And there's this dialing outward action. And though the finger, like don't bring the fingers together to stay on the block, just spread them, but get as much surface contact as you can. Push away. So when you push the blocks away, you'll feel the sitting bones start to leave the feet. Maybe that's it for today. We're holding that action, drawing up on the pelvic floor. Or you can add lifting of the knees, maybe lifting of the feet. So I'm really hugging my legs up, otherwise they'll just drop down. Lower down. Notice which leg is on top, uncross so the feet are flat, and circle out the wrists. Switch directions, really circle, full range of motion. It's easy to just kind of like, do it, really intentional movement. Okay, and then we'll tip forward so the other ankle is on top. Might adjust where your blocks are a little bit if you're having if you just want to experiment, what's going to work best for you. Spreading the fingers, find a little bit of that dialing outward action. Hands aren't really moving, but they're kind of plugging into the ground more. Start to push the blocks away. So feel how the shoulders move down the back when you do that. You can stay right there. Try lifting the knees, try lifting the feet. Really hug the legs in and up. Mula Bandha, abdominal wall. Breath. Lower down, untuck the toe or uncross the legs. Shake out the wrists. Okay, and then our peak pose, Bakasana. So you might use your blocks to give yourself like a little boost here. could use them under hands, but maybe today, well, you do what works for you, but today you could use them under your feet. Maybe just one, low setting. And we're standing on the block. So toes are on the block, heels are up here. Make sure you've got no furniture, no glass tables in front of you at home. Okay, you could be more toward the back of the mat. You could put pillows, blankets in front of you for a little physical and mental support. So I'm on my toes. My heels are up. My hips are down. And then I'm going to open my knees so my arms can be on the inside of my legs. I'll face this way. Bring your hands to the ground. Hands are shoulder width apart. Spread the fingers. Take a moment to root through each finger and the thumbs. Sometimes we skip all this foundation and just makes the pose a lot harder. So we're rooting evenly through each finger, each knuckle, getting that outward isometric dragging of the hands that really plugs them into the ground. Okay, I'm gonna lift sitting bones up a little bit and hug the legs into the arms. Some people like to put knees on top of upper arms. If that works for you, go for that. You're gonna have to experiment. Okay, and then I'm shifting forward. And maybe the feet lift up off the ground. And if they do, you can try bringing your feet up toward the sitting bones. So it's a forward action. It's like more of a forward and up action. Push the floor away. Mula Bandha, abdominal wall. It might be more of a tip forward, tip back. You might not leave the ground, leave the block at all. That's okay. Just be where you are. Trying maybe one more time here. We're incorporating everything we've been working on. This back body expansion, hugging in, pushing the floor away. Maybe it's a rock forward, rock back. Mula Bandha, pelvic floor. Okay, and then whenever you're ready, don't rush because we're just going to come onto our backs. You can shake or roll out your wrists. And we'll meet up, lying on our backs. Take your time getting there. If you're already there, just take a moment in Shavasana. Yeah, worked really hard. Slowing down the breath. Noticing what's present for you with kindness. With gratitude. Okay, and then from here, let's plant the feet. Let's take the feet like wide apart. Feet planted wide, like we're gonna do windshield wiper, but we're gonna come into a twist here. Actually, let's do a little kind of inner windshield wiper. So feet are planted, one leg stays vertical, other knee drops inward. So I'm rocking to the inner edge of that foot, and then coming back to center, and other side. And then from here, let both knees drop over to your left. Let the left leg just go all the way down. And plant and push off of your right foot to drive the knee forward. So that right hip will come up as a result. And you could engage the glute to assist with that opening of the hip. Right arm alongside the ear. So knee and arm are essentially reaching opposite each other. Breathe into the places of most resistance. Release the right arm alongside the body. Bring the legs up and over, or knees up and over to the right. Just let the right leg release down and push the inner edge of the whole left foot into the floor. Reach the knee forward. If you want to work a little harder, you engage the left glute to help open the front of the hip. Left arm alongside the ear. Left knee and left fingertips stretching away from each other. Bring the left arm down. Bring the legs back to center. And then Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees apart, maybe blocks under knees or thighs. So it's more restful. And then you can kind of like walk your rib cage or walk your spine away from your hips a little bit. So sometimes I feel like a little crunched here, and you just kind of walk the spine a little bit longer, resting the arms comfortably. And close your eyes. Breath is in the foreground of awareness. If this shape feels blissful and effortless to you, you're welcome to stay here in Supta Baddha Konasana. Otherwise, releasing the legs straight into Shavasana. making any adjustments so you can be fully at ease, comfortable. Relaxed, resting. Come back into the river of breath. Begin to reawaken your body with some small movements. And with no sense of hurry, if you feel ready, slowly and gently rise up to a seat. You can join me in bringing hands, palms together at heart center. Let's bow our heads to our hearts with gratitude for all of the abundance and blessings in our lives, for all that we can do, all that our bodies can do, really incredible. And for each and every single breath, a precious, priceless gift. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to share my practice with you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.